Yeah. And that's another thing. Like the range on hail claims and that kind of thing. Our minimum for us to take it into a shop is $1,500 on that claim. There has to be $1,500 of PDR on that claim. And if we can't have that, so that's the lower end of our money, essentially, of what we'll pay. And the upper end is our highest estimate last year, I think, was close to $12,000. So damage can range wildly. Never be spooked about if you don't see a lot of damage on a car. You're out on the street as well. We can pull it inside and we put our lights on it, and it's happened before where, Mark, you've had it happen with you, where you thought there was only a few dents on this car. We put it under a light and there they are. They're small dents.
It happens all the time, especially on white cars.
Yes,
white cars are the hardest to see in the sunlight. But yeah, I mean, it's crazy how quickly it can get up to that number of $1,500. Really, it's 2 or 3 dents on 2 or 3 panels.
Yeah, I mean, you're always going to have dents on the hood and the roof.
Yep.
Minimums on those a lot of times $300 each. You got 600. If you get one dent on a few panels, that raises the price by another 300. And then maybe we can find some parts and we can get there a lot of times. And we'll try our hardest to get there. We want the car. We want you guys to be happy. We want everyone to be happy.
Hood, roof, deck lid. That's 3 panels.
Yep.
If I can find a rail, the little piece above the car door, that usually helps a ton. Those are what, 150 a pop?
It's 125.
125. So
it's a markup, yeah.
So those help. Quarter panel. So any dents around the taillights, huge benefit. And then if I can find a dent on 1 or 2 doors, I'm there every time.
Yep.
So I get hood, roof, deck lid, trunk, a rail, and then 1 or 2 doors. You're going to hit 1,500 every time. And it doesn't even have to be like 10 dents on each panel. Literally 1 dent on every one of those panels. You're about there.
It constitutes at that point, yeah. And on the estimating side of things, you'll see there's a lot of different things R&I that we need to ask for, like R&I removing and installing, basically taking the headliner down, putting it back up.
That's why we're talking about panels, because panels are super important, because every different panel requires a different access point, which we get paid to do.
Yeah.
So every separate panel raises it. So so if you have 1 dent on a door, 1 dent on a front door, and then 1 dent on a rear door, what does that run? That's
going to be, well, it depends where the dent is, but generally that's going to be a place where it's double paneled. And so it's going to be $125 for each of those doors.
Each of those dents, right? There's 2 dents, and in this case, 1 hit the front door, 1 hit the back door. We're looking at what, $250 out of those 2 dents now?
We're looking at about $250.
Now, if that second dent, instead of being on the rear door, is on the front door, same 2 dents, what do they cost now?
It's still only $125.
Exactly. So that's why that difference of panels matters so much.
Yeah, because it's a range. It's like on one panel, it's 1 to 6 dents is this amount, or 1 to 5 dents is this amount. 6 to 15 dents is this amount, and so on and so forth. That's the matrix that we go back to, and so it's important and as many different panels as possible.
Exactly. That helps us get to our minimum number, and that way we can take in the car, and you can make your commission off of it.
Exactly. And we want that to happen. I mean, it's not ideal. Techs a lot of times, but those cars techs can do, they can get done in that half a day.
Yeah, it doesn't take them long.
On to the next one. Another thing I do want to get touch on, it's more of the parts side of things. As we know, in this day and age that we live in, there seems to be shortages everywhere of different kinds of things. Who knows, gas, like a little bit of everything. Last year, this is something you're going to need to talk to your customer about. There are parts on the vehicles, like moldings, like window moldings, quarter glasses, those kinds of things. If they're damaged, we ask for that and we can replace those things. They can't necessarily be repaired. They're chrome. It's difficult to push chrome, but
you're talking about the moldings outside the windows, They're either
Yes.
rubber or they're chrome. What are other parts? Like sometimes we get taillights, very rarely, but
There's roof
sometimes
moldings.
taillights.
There's roof moldings that are
Yep,
rubber.
the roof moldings that run along the top of the car.
Yeah, and they can sustain damage from the hail. Well, we faced problems, particularly with Kia last year, in that parts were back ordered by months. Like
Honda was a bad one too.
Yeah, Honda. It was just certain companies where you just could not find those parts. They're on back order for a month plus. Those are situations where we'll finish the repair and everything like that, give the car back to the customer, and then whenever we finally receive the parts, they'll have to bring it back in and we will put the parts on at that point. But that did
Yeah.
happen with a lot of different cars where there's just shortages. They just didn't have parts. Nowhere did. And so
Well, we fixed that Tesla last year. Tesla doesn't even make parts.
Yeah, that's another good thing, guys, is no Teslas.
Maybe Teslas. We'll see.
We'll see, but I mean, there's a lot of problems with Teslas. There's a lot of
So, we are certified to do electric vehicles. Like hybrids and any other of these new electric vehicles that are coming down. Our techs have been trained on how to shut these vehicles down properly so they can get in there and repair them. So we are EV certified, which is a huge benefit. And we're already able to work on Teslas. We did one last year, but as Brett mentioned, the problem with Tesla is that they just they're not a car manufacturer. I mean, they are, but they aren't, right? They're set up very differently than Chevy or Ford. So getting these cars to be repaired was just a huge headache.
Yeah. I mean,